you've seen things as far back as my childhood. And I believe that you understand the certain needs that would benefit where to start. Me myself, I don't know. There's so many issues that I've been trying to address for a long time.
So it's interesting to see this clip here sent to me by a viewer, because Darrell Brooks Jr., look, I'm going to be honest with you. Anybody that has mental health issues, address it. Try to address it. Talk to a therapist. Buy a book. Get a journal and write in it to self-reflect. Whatever it helps you, do it. I think that obviously going to a healthcare professional is the way to go, but that's just my personal opinion. But the thing is, did Darrell Brooks Jr. really try throughout his life to address whatever issues he may or may not have? That's the question. How's it going, everyone? You're watching Everything Else Channel on YouTube, everythingelsechannel.com. If at any point in time you like this video, please smash that like button. Please subscribe to the channel, ring the bell for notifications so you won't miss a single video, and leave a comment down below. You know, to me, it's one of these things, because I want to be harsh. I want to just throw the book at someone like Darrell Brooks Jr. But I also don't want to be cold to the fact that there are people that really legitimately have mental health issues. I probably have them. I have anxiety. I get depressed. You know what I mean? But there's a difference between having a mental health problem or issue and going out and doing what he did, and then trying to blame it on that, or trying to use whatever mental health issue, treated or otherwise, that you may or may not have, to mitigate the harm in that act. And I just, I feel that, look, we live in the greatest country in the world, in my opinion, here in the United States of America. I know that we get a lot of viewers from Canada. I know that we get a lot of viewers from Ireland, Australia, and also India. You all have great countries. I'm partial because I live here. I'm sure that in your countries, if somebody had a mental health issue, whether through a government program or through charity, if they didn't have the money, they could get that help. Charity is not meant to be a humiliation by any means. Charity would be March of Dimes, Shriners, the Red Cross, Goodwill. I mean, organizations that get millions and millions and millions of dollars from contributors, people that leave endowments, people that leave them in their wills. Charity is not to be thought of as something where you got to bow your head, and it's none of that. So I want to make sure that you guys realize that. And some of the best hospitals in the world are either run entirely or in part by charity, whether it's from a religious organization, an endowment, a trust, an NGO possibly. I mean, there's a lot of people that give a lot of their money very, very quietly, mind you. They don't have wings named after them, or they don't have their picture on a wall somewhere, but they do it quietly. And let me tell you something, they do it quietly. They're giving their money because they want people that don't have money to get the best service possible. So again, let me just stress that whatever country you live in, whether it's a government program, like here in the United States, we have Medicaid, here in Kentucky, we have Passport, whether it's through a program like that, or whether it's through charity, the help is there, and I think that people like Darrell Brooks Jr. that may or may not have had untreated health issues, mental health issues, can get the help. If Dawn was able to, and I'm not here to, make Dawn feel any worse than she feels, but did she really try? I mean, if her son really had these issues from childhood, did she really try? Is there an IEP, an independent education plan at the schools that he went to, whether elementary school or junior high or high school? Did he meet with his school counselors? I mean, when you're in the public education system, and I'm assuming that he was, you have endless resources. You actually have more resources than kids that go to parochial schools or private schools, because there it's all only funded by the school, and the tuition and whatever the parents and the families and the boosters want to donate. So in fact, if you have a mental health care issue and you in the public school system, you have more options. You can go to more doctors and see more therapists, and they even have schools, and they have Bertha Abbas in Florida, which, I mean, they have all sorts of things. Did he try any of that? And you can't blame the child. You would have, look, here's the thing. I don't like playing the blame game, but unfortunately, this is the real world. This is real life. You cannot expect a child or an adolescent to find the help. So the question is, Darrell Brooks Sr., because if he's junior, there's a senior. Did he play a role? Did he try to get him any help? Was he in his life? His mom seemingly was in his life. Did she try? Dr. Mary Edwards. She's like a clinical psychologist from a P.O. Box school, but she's a minister, she's an activist, she's a hostage negotiator. She's all of these things that she said. Did she try? Because, you're sitting here, Dr. Mary, doing a podcast and talking about, how much mental health is so important. Well, what did you do for your grandson? Did you have him talk to a counselor, whether at the church or a psychologist or a psychiatrist? Did you do any of that? And don't say that, you weren't his mom, you were his grandma, and you were apparently so, steeped in mental health care. What did you do? But assuming that nothing was done while he was going to school because his parents didn't take the time to go to a parent-teacher meeting or talk to a guidance counselor, assuming that none of that happened, then what about him in his adulthood when it was his responsibility? Did he go to a healthcare therapist? I never heard that. I never heard him saying ever that he went to a therapist. I never heard him ever say he was on psychoactive medications. I never once heard him say any of that. So for him to say in the sentencing that he has battled with it his whole life, how have you battled with it? By gangbanging? By making videos glorifying drug use and selling drugs? By making live videos on Instagram and MySpace or whatever else talking about, hoeing out your girlfriend and glorifying domestic violence? I don't think that you struggled at all, Darrell. Obviously, you're not going to see this, but you never know because a lot of prisons, they may have internet access, and maybe that's the thing. It's kind of crazy to think about, but Darrell Brooks Jr. may in fact see this video one day, and he may be able to comment. And maybe you just don't know because he may be able to have a YouTube channel one day. He may not make a cent off of it, but it doesn't mean he may not be able to have one. We hear of prisoners all the time writing books from prison. It doesn't matter the proceeds or, go to the families, which they should, but it's the fact that the voice is there. The fact is that he can write books. And if he can write a book, who's to say that he won't be able to make a video one day? They're both expression. And, it's just, look, the thing is, it's a very, very publicized trial. And as I've been saying for many other videos, there's going to come a point in time where it's no longer that bad. It will always be horrible to us. But to people looking to make a buck off of it, they're waiting for when it's not going to be that bad. And then they're going to come back as a documentary or for educational purposes, whatever they want to call it, and give the family their portion, and their portion they'll put in their pocket. Because they're going to get a portion. It's not all going to go to the families, especially if it's a third-party media company. It may not go to the families at all. They may have to sue that third-party media company to get some of the money. I don't know. And it's not just about money, because money's not going to make them whole, but a lot of the victims have lifelong health issues. They may be in therapy for the rest of their lives, and they should see some financial compensation. It's not compensation, but some financial help, because, a time's going to come, and I hope that it doesn't, but a time's going to come maybe in 5 or 10 or 15 years when this is an older case. Maybe these folks don't get the therapy they need. Maybe they get, nickeled and dimed. Maybe they get shortchanged. Maybe now they've got to drive an extra 50 miles to get to the therapist because now the spotlight won't be as bright. People won't be as mad. This happens with every single crime, with every single tragedy. So that's why I'm so strongly a proponent of the families seeing money from anything that deals with this because, I think us content creators should be kicking in as well. I just don't know how to do that. Because the reality of the matter is my channel is a lot more than talking about this. I'm all over the world. I'm reviewing music and movies and hotels. But I just feel that, look, here's the deal, folks. Maybe a YouTuber, a few cents, a couple dollars here and there's not a big deal. But what about a movie? What about a documentary? What about a Netflix or Hulu series? Here, just an hour away in Bardstown, Kentucky, Crystal Rogers was probably killed by her boyfriend. Her body was missing for like 8 or 9 years. His co-conspirator spilled the beans. Now he's arrested. His brother was a sheriff, and they say he helped cover it up. They've had countless series over that. Has Crystal Rogers' family gotten money from that? Probably, because, you know, the mom was featured on a lot of these documentaries because they were not just doing them to raise awareness about what happened, but they were also doing it to try to find evidence. The FBI went down to Bardstown no less than 6 or 7 times, big setups, and looking and sifting through dirt and going through the various properties that, what's his name? I think his name is Bruce Haupt. No, actually, that's somebody I went to school with. Bruce Hoke, something like that. And, you know, that's all money. You know, these documentaries, there was an actual retired FBI guy that did one of the Netflix series. It was like 8 or 9 episodes. They didn't come up with anything, but they made a lot of money, I think, because I don't think that, so in any event, my whole thing is I don't want to throw water on anyone, absolutely anyone that tries to get help, even if they don't actually make it to getting help. But I just do not believe that Darrell Brooks Jr. even tried, like really honestly tried. And money is not an issue. Like I said, there's plenty of government programs, and there's a ton of charity subsidized programs that offer you amazing therapy. And you can go to a homeless shelter. You could be living on the street, penniless, and there's therapy for you. So I just do not believe he even tried. I just don't. And I don't believe that Don or his dad or his grandma or anybody in his immediate family took advantage of the many, many resources available to children and adolescents in the public school system when it comes to mental health care. So again, I feel that this little spiel by Darrell Brooks Jr. Was nothing more than an attempt to get a lesser sentence and maybe even walk out of there, because as crazy as it sounds, I do think at parts of the trial, he thought he was actually going to walk out of there a free man.